We are Jester and Gem. This is Joy and this is our journey.
Follow us as we navigate the intricacies of living in France on a very small budget. The good, the bad, the ugly, we plan on showing you it all.
Eventually we plan to build a small eco house on our little plot of land, situated in the middle of a tiny village.
So why not join us and see if we can build our dream here in France? Hey, ready? Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well this weekend. It's been a quiet week. Been a difficult one with my chest, so I haven't really done a lot. But we have got some news. Gem's going back to the UK on the 30th. 29th.
One of them.
Yeah. She's got a couple of days of training to do in the UK. She's done some online training already, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which you got tested, didn't you?
I did.
What was your result?
Quite good.
Yeah. She's being modest. She did not got 98% on a test. But then again, she worked in caring for 10 years. So she more or less knew everything that was on the online training before she went in there. So there you go. You've got one day left, haven't you, of training, really?
One day left of training, and then one day with my what they call a coordinator, just to work out, get everything finalised, and then they kick me out the door and send me off to my first placement.
Yeah, but one of the good things is Gem actually gets to see her parents for the first time since beginning of last year, when COVID first hit and before all the restrictions came in. She hasn't been to the UK since then, seeing her family, so that's really good.
Yeah, it's been nearly 2 years, so it's well overdue.
And as you've already seen from the title, this is a follow-on from 5 things we like about France, or love about France, and this is 5 things we don't like about France. Obviously, no country's perfect, and that includes France. I love the country, I love the people, but there are some things that drive me a little bit potty. So what are we going to start with? We made a list. Let me just put my glasses on.
And by all means, this is our list. You guys might have different things, and if you do, leave us a comment.
Yeah. So we're going to start with a couple of things to do with rural France, and the first one is the internet. Oh,
shocking.
It's not good. It's not good at all. I mean, I get it. France is a very big country and there's a lot of distance to lay cables. But by God, it's like being... Sometimes it feels like you're on dial-up.
We have a big storm, it stops working. We have heavy wind, it stops working.
I mean, luckily the 4G coverage is very good.
Yeah.
We've had to... basically our main home internet, when Gem was working as a teacher online, we used a 4G router. But the company that we're with, Boygis, they are terrible. Their customer service is appalling. But unfortunately, one of the things that I hate about the internet is restrictiveness. Now, in the UK, you have a choice of so many different companies. If you're not happy with the customer service of one, you can swap. But for fixed 4G, we got a choice of Boygis. That's it. I mean, we can use Orange, but it will cost us a hell of a lot more. They don't do what's called a fixed one. It's just on your phone, not a router and stuff like that. That's more a mobile 4G rather than a fixed 4G, if you see what I mean. So, I mean, our 4G router, we can't take it to another place and use it. It'll only work on the mast that you live near.
Yeah, you have to tell them where you're living, and you can't even move from one house to another. They can't actually change the settings on the router. You actually have to go and give them your router back, and they have to give you a new one. You have to cancel the account and then set up a new one, which brings its own set of problems. We've had no end of problems with the wrong accounts being cancelled.
Well, it makes no sense to me that they can't change something on the back end. I mean, before I got really ill and I stopped working, those who don't know me, I was a network technician, CCNA. I did basically I set up networks, computer networks for small to medium sized companies, and it makes no sense to me at all. But a lot of stuff like that doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, enough griping about the internet. What was the other one? The other one was rural public transport.
Yeah. There is none.
We live in a village of about 900 to 1,000 people, roundabout, and there isn't a single bus that comes through this village. The train line is now a bicycle path and walking path. So if you live in rural France, I mean, it might be different in different parts of rural France, but certainly this area, and even Dessay.
Yeah, where we were before, there was no. No, we were on a main, or just off a main road, weren't we? Really? In
it's just
Dessay,
nothing.
And there was still nothing. There was no public transport until you got to Niort.
Which is bonkers, because the actual train network that still exists, the ones they haven't pulled up the lines, are brilliant. The train network is awesome. The TGV
when
is
they're not on strike.
Amazing. Yeah, when they're not on strike. But we're in France. Everybody goes on strike. I think that goes without saying. Right. So
yeah, I've used the trains a lot, and I will say actually, yeah, compared to the UK, the train network here is fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, so
when you live in a place like this where there's no train station, though, the nearest one's 15k away. So there is that. If you want to rely on public transport, you're a bit scuppered, which to me is poo. But what can you do? Not a lot you can do. Just one of those things. I mean, in the UK, living in the middle of nowhere, nearly everywhere has some sort of bus. And we're not really in the middle of nowhere. As I say, there's about 900 people in this village. And it's a reasonably busy road that goes past the village and through it, so it doesn't make any sense. What we got next? Oh, dog poo.
Dog poo. Ugh. Dog poo. We talked in the last video about how there is a lack of litter in this country, to the point that you actually kind of go, oh yeah, there's nothing, that you notice it when there's a small amount. And that's something we love, but on the flip side of that, everyone lets their dog poo wherever it squats.
Yeah,
and,
on the paths.
and they hardly clean it up. Now, I know there is an initiative going on at the moment to try and get people to clean up after their dogs, but it's
difficult when there's no dog poo bins around either.
Yeah, there's no dog poo bins. And what have you. You can certainly, I think someone said to me once, you can tell who the British people are because they pick up their dog poo. Yeah. And you can go, oh, Brit.
Yeah, you can spot a British dog walker.
So yeah.
You might hear it's raining. That's why we sat in here doing this, because
we were going to stay outside, but well, yeah.
Yeah, it's raining.
So yeah, it's just the amount, really. You have to be really careful, so you have to really watch where you're walking. Even in the villages, you'll see it everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, we had problems down on the front, which seems to have really calmed down now, actually. But out the front of our two buildings on the roadside, every time I came down I had to clean dog poop up. But that seems to have calmed down.
We have the only little bit of grass on the street. And it seemed that the dogs all just went straight there.
This is definitely one for you. Paperwork. I don't do paperwork, doesn't bother me, but there you go. Go on, tell them about the paperwork.
Do I have to? It's crazy. The amount of paperwork you have to do. It's not just the amount of paperwork, it's the amount of times you have to do the same paperwork. You have to, I think there's a line in, was it Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where you have to fill everything in triplicate, bury it underground for 3 weeks, dig it up, fill it in triplicate again, and then send it off. That's pretty much what it's like here.
French bureaucracy sucks.
There's a lot of hoops to jump through in terms of paperwork. If you get even one thing wrong on a form like that thick, they'll ask you to do the whole thing again. So it has taken a lot of getting used to with doing the paperwork, but now I think I've gotten used to it. It's been what, years, nearly 4 years now
Yeah.
that we've been here, and I think I've done enough that I'm kind of like, all right, fair enough, there's just a bit more. And you just kind of sit down and get on with it. But it is a bit insane sometimes, absolutely insane. I think when we opened bank accounts, for example, we had, what is it, they say it's called a welcome pack, and it's about that thick of just paperwork and the amount you have to sign.
Well, when we first moved here, our landlord wasn't very helpful, being very diplomatic. When we were living on the property, we had no bills that we paid directly, and trying to set up our bank account and trying to just get broadband internet and stuff like that was impossible, because we needed an attestation from our landlord to say we were living there, because we had no bills in our name. And it took 3 months for him to write this thing out, and in that time Gem couldn't work because we needed internet for her to work. That lost us a lot of money. That was one of the biggest bugbears. But we lived and learned.
Once we got that done, when we got to the bank eventually, we were talking to, what was his name, Cedric, that was it. Yeah, the guy at the bank who helped us set up our account, and he really did help us in terms of sort of warning us what kind of paperwork we might need to do, and talking us through a lot of things. And he was very good, wasn't he? He helped us massively in terms of that. But yeah, the paperwork is just... Definitely
compared to the UK, there is a lot more paperwork, and obviously when you don't speak the language, that makes it even more difficult. So that's just life.
It is. But be prepared for paperwork.
I've got one more thing, and this is hunting with dogs. Now don't get me wrong, I understand, even as a vegetarian, I understand that hunting is necessary. There is a lack of apex predators, and if we didn't hunt, I mean, the wild boar would just take over, the deer would just be out of control, crops would be destroyed, and we understand that. But I have to say, hunting with dogs, other than retrievers, I don't have a problem with people using retrievers, but the way they do it here, where they're flushing with hunting dogs, it's not right. We don't need to do that nowadays. I understand it's traditional, I understand that it's been going on for centuries. You know, people have hunted with dogs for centuries. But when they started hunting with dogs, they didn't have rifles. They didn't have guns that can kill something at 500 metres without a problem. To me, that it's unnecessary. It's also unnecessarily cruel, not just to the animals that they hunt, but to the dogs themselves. The dogs in general, I mean, there are a lot of the hunters keep their dogs well, but there are hunters that do not look after their dogs properly. They're just in some field a couple of miles from the house in a cage, and that's how they live their lives until they go hunting. And to me, that's
dogs
saddening.
are kept as equipment,
yeah,
as it were, not as an actual living.
Yeah, and if they're no good to hunt, they get rid of the dogs. Most of them get rid of them in nice ways, but some of them not so much.
Yeah, and you see a lot of ex-hunt dogs trying to be rehomed through sort of the shelters here, the associations, the SPAs, and it is a shame. It is a real shame.
I mean, as I say, I do get tradition. I do get that sort of thing, but I think some traditions you have to move on from. You have to turn around and look at it morally, is it right? And I don't think it's right to hunt with dogs, chasing animals down and stuff like that. I mean, when you go out for a walk, you have to worry about hunt dogs. And the animals obviously have to worry about hunt dogs. So I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I mean, they hunt pheasants here and they flush them out with dogs. I mean, to me, pheasant hunting, there's no need for it, because they actually breed the pheasants to release them to hunt them, and that to me is not a good thing. You know, it's just one of those, yeah, I think we should move past that in the modern day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's going to be a controversial comment. I know that some people are going to be a bit, you know, but do you know what? I don't care. I don't care. We don't need to do these things anymore. Hunting can be done in a much more ethical manner. I mean, I must admit, they're very, there's the licenses here. Unlike some countries, the hunting is done by the locals, it's done by the working class. Within a commune, you can only really hunt in your own commune. You can't pay an absolute shed load of money and go hunting somewhere else and stuff like that. It's not a rich man's sport, which I think is better. But as I say, it's the way they use the dogs that I don't like.
Absolutely.
I don't hold it against them. I just wish people would move on. That's all. So, there are other things in France that are a bit annoying, but to be honest, there is in every country, and they're the 5 things that we really wanted to cover in this video. Hopefully a bit of a shorter video. I think this is a shorter video than last time.
I think so, yeah. And as we said, as they are our 5.
And that's our experience living in rural France.
Yeah, and so I think if any of you guys live in a city or near a city, is there anything you guys don't like? Just let us know. Yeah. It's really interesting to learn about different people's experience in France. Also,
on the end credits of this video, I will link the 5 things we like about France, and if there's anything that you really like, if you're living here, let us know on that one.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely, yeah.
Well, I think that's about it for today, isn't it?
I think it is.
All right. Cheers for watching, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed our video today. If you did, do us a favour and hit that like button. Also, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe and ring the bell. That way you won't miss any future content.
We've also got a presence on Facebook and Instagram, and they are linked below, so go and check them out.
Don't forget, be like me. Take it wheezy.